RH was really understanding factory capacity, what's done in-house, what's subbed out, how can we ramp capacity, what are the processes or materials that factories have specific expertise in, so we can understand who should get what when we're talking about the little bit of in-house product development they do at RH. So scaling factories and understanding where and how to grow was, 80-90% of what I did there, and they're very good at that.
Okay. We'll come to that, because I actually do want to ask some questions on kind of like the back end and the DCs, and I think you have very good insights there. But just to finish up this conversation on vendors, like one thing that you hit on a lot of these things, but the top 25 vendors right now are 80% of sales, and the top one, probably Timothy Olden, he's 11%. How much does it flip-flop around, or is it pretty consistent? I'm just wondering, if a really good designer brings a really good design, could he be on the top 25 list this year and then not be on that one, maybe a couple of years down the road? So because that would make their capacity planning for resto a little more challenging. So how mindful are you guys, or were you guys, when you were kind of thinking about who you would give how much of business, that building that strategic relationship, et cetera?
You're not going to see the names move around dramatically from one development season to the next, or from one year to the next. In any given year, roughly 20% of what they sell is new product. The other 80% is core carry forward product.
Okay.
I think maybe the Van Peels in RH Modern are the best example of how maybe in a short period of time you can see a vendor, move around pretty quickly. They were the vendor that brought the most appealing modern concepts, materials, designs to RH. So they were the biggest player in developing that brand back in the fall of 2015. So that moved them up pretty quickly from, I don't know, wherever they were in 2025 up probably into close to the top 5 now, certainly within the top 10. But once those items are in and they become core carry forward items, there's a pretty long tail. There's going to be some SKU rationalization, of course, always. But, when you look at what occupancy costs, carrying costs are, to keep stuff in the DC, there's not a strong need to discontinue something if it's working. So you're not going to see, in my opinion, over a short period of time, those vendors shift around dramatically in terms of, where they are in overall cost purchases. You might see from season to season them move around a little bit. If Jonathan Browning's another example. When RH Modern was launched, he brought a lot of appealing, kind of clean, fresh designs, crystal and brass, and he was a big player for RH Modern. So there's periods in time where for a particular development season, a vendor might be the biggest thing going on. But overall, looking over the next 2-3 years, you're not going to see, I don't think, those top 10 vendors move around very dramatically.
So, for example, now with this SKU rationalization, so they're cutting more than 40% of SKUs. Do you think even now, the vendor list would not change as much? Because, I'm guessing, if they, how do you think, they could achieve this? Would they, just cut a few SKUs at the tail of different collections, or do you think they'll just try to rationalize collections and get rid of some collections that do not sell that much, and just keep
both,
pretty much the entire assortment of? Okay.
It's just driven by the math. There's certain, say, minimum order requirements,